So my story is a little bit different. I received my first head injury when I was 4. It was on my 4th birthday. I flipped over the back of the couch when I was on my 4th birthday, and the couch fell on top of my face. And then I suffered some other typical head injuries as a child, fell on my head rollerblading, fell in a pool. So my life growing up was me with a head injury. Growing up, school was always very hard. It was very hard. I hated it. I would cry. I could do it, but it took way longer than it should have, and I had massive amounts of brain fog. I didn't know what to call it that then, but I remember especially coming home after middle school, and my friends would finish their homework in maybe an hour or two, and I'd be there for 6 hours at the kitchen table and just trying to focus, and my attention would get diverted, and I would be like, okay, you have to do this, and I just cry because it was so hard. I'm like, this shouldn't be that hard. And I always knew something always felt wrong. This is way harder than it should be. And, teachers, everyone, they were just like, you just need to work hard. It's going to be okay. Sometimes, it's just a little harder for some people, and that's fine. And I thought, okay, we can do this. And it wasn't until I started working here as an employee, working with the patients, that I realized that it wasn't normal. I had my first experience when I was working with a patient. I was explaining Dynavision and explaining some of the rules of the game. And she was like, oh wait, I spaced off, can you tell me that again? And it would happen about every 20 seconds or so. And I got really confused. I was like, why are you telling me that? We all do that, but we just don't tell each other that we do that, right? And then that's kind of when I put 2 and 2 together, and I went to my boss, and I was like, hey, I think something's wrong. People have been aware of it before because, it took me longer to do tasks, or I had reread things constantly, and I couldn't remember what I had just read, or my eyes would get tired. That was just a part of my personality. I was like, oh, Kaylie's just slow. It just takes me long to do things, or oh, you can't keep directions, or you just space off or get distracted, and that's just part of who I am. And we can kind of laugh about it. It always kind of dug a little bit. And so I was relieved when I found out, because I was like, maybe there's something I can do to fix this. When I first kind of started to suspect and talk to my boss was like, yeah, I think so. I think, we've noticed some things that they track, right? Like the difficulty with the speech. And I'd gotten a concussion while I was working at CFX. And then that was when things got worse. And that's when I really kind of pursued my next option. But I didn't want to get my hopes up too much until I got my scan. And even in the scanner, I was like, what if they don't see anything? But getting the results and pointing out specific areas and that really matched up with what I was feeling and the symptoms that I'd always had was a huge relief. Treatment was hard. My booster days were harder, which was a lot of fun, but I was very tired. Some things I did better than I thought I would, and others I struggled in more. And it was kind of reaffirming, I guess, to think oh yeah, that is a hard struggle. Also a little bit different for me, I never had an aha moment in my epic of wow, I'm really changing my brain. I knew I was doing something because of the tasks that I was doing, and I could feel like I was working hard. But I never, during my epic treatment, felt like, oh yeah, I'm getting better. It wasn't until the following week when I came back to work and I sat down to do an email, and normally that would take me about 3 days to do before, which I'm embarrassed to admit, but it was very hard. And I sat down and I wrote it in 30 minutes. And I almost just started crying because I immediately messaged my boss, and I was like, you're not gonna believe what I just did. I was like, is this what it's like to work without brain fog? Is this a normal human experience? I'm like, I like being human. This is a good thing. I can concentrate so much better. I remember also a couple weeks after epic treatment, I had a conversation with my best friend on the phone, and I didn't have to ask her to repeat herself. And I didn't have to, we had 20 minutes solid where I was like, I know exactly where we're at in this conversation. Whereas before, every 20 minutes I'd be like, oh crap, where are we at? What are we talking about? And so that was really nice. Again, I was kind of surprised. I was like, wow, is this normal? Is this what it feels like? It was so cool. Multitasking and executive functioning changed the most, I would say. This one's work related as well, but Fridays in the clinic are very busy. You have to, make sure things are getting printed off in time, make sure things are getting checked off, and the exit packets go where they need to, and is this patient where they're supposed to be? And especially a year ago, it was very crazy. And so I remember the first Friday after I finished epic treatment being like, okay, we're here, we got this, we're doing this. And about midway through the Friday, I stopped and I was like, oh, there's no way I could have done this before and feel okay. And that was huge. So much was affected by my concussions that I didn't understand or know were even related. For example, my sleep has always been bad. And after Epic treatment, I slept better. And that was something I never expected to change. I was just like, oh, this is just who I am. This is just me. And when I started sleeping better, I was stunned. And I was so excited. I came into work and told my coworkers, like, guys, I slept like for 7 hours last night. I didn't wake up. So it was really exciting. So my aha moments came actually after Epic treatment, which I think is actually even a better representation of a patient experience. A lot of the times in Epic treatment, most people are just like, oh, I'm so tired. And then when they go home, when they get back into life, they start to notice little bits here and there, and that's where the recovery is made up. You know, we have a saying when I do Epic coaching, when all the patient care coordinators do Epic coaching, we say treatment is not a magic wand. For the most part, patients don't wake up one day and say, oh my gosh, I'm better. For the most part, it's little victories that you track over time. When you go home, you might notice little improvements like, wow, I didn't need a nap today to get through my afternoon. Or, you know, I completed that project while my kids were being total psychos around me and I could concentrate and be all right. That's comforting to me, honestly. Seeing those little improvements, because it makes it feel real and it makes it feel lasting. Part of the recovery journey is becoming someone new. We're never going to be the same person that we were, head injury or not. And part of my recovery journey too has been about embracing the person that I'm becoming, accepting that the injury was part of that. The injuries that I suffered in my past are part of molding me into a better person. That it's so important when facing recovery that you're looking ahead and counting those small victories and saying, who can I become now, and looking forward to all the hope that's there, and kind of rolling with the punches and saying, you know, bad days are normal, I'm still human, and then kind of building yourself up into this new person that you want to be, with these new capabilities that are just kind of come in little moments.